Good day and welcome back to Sheldon's Gardening Tips, your complete DIY guide for everything lawn and garden care. Now in today's video, I'll be featuring both the Zoysia and the Bermuda grasses. Now these are both warm season grasses, which means they thrive best in hot climates. So that makes them ideal for countries like Jamaica, where the sun always shines. These grasses look quite similar in terms of appearance. They have similar growth habits as well. However, they have their own characteristics that make them unique in their own ways. And these grasses are used widely on sports fields, lawns as well as golf courses. In this video, I'll be looking at the unique characteristics of each grass type. I will also be looking at how to care for these grass types, as well as how to identify these grass types, because as I said before, they are quite similar in appearance, and when looked at, it is somewhat difficult to tell the difference between the two grass types. This lawn that I'm sitting on, it's Bermuda grass. Now, Bermuda is a very fast-growing turf grass. It forms a mat-like surface when it's fully established. It spreads through both above ground runners as well as below ground runners. And as I have been saying in previous videos, the below ground runners are referred to as rhizomes, whereas the above ground runners are referred to as stolons. So Bermuda is very fast to repair itself when it comes to damage, as well as when it's planted. It also establishes quite quickly. So it does establish a lot faster than does Zoysia grass. In terms of color, Bermuda grass has a light to medium green color, as opposed to Zoysia grass, which has a dark green color. Now, Bermuda is extremely heat resistant, so it makes it ideal for those countries with long hot summers, as is the case in Jamaica. So in Jamaica, where the sun always shines, we are able to plant Bermuda grass and get beautiful results all year round because of the fact that Bermuda is a warm season grass, and the climate in Jamaica is pretty much warm all year round. Bermuda is also very tolerant to wear. So you can walk up and down on Bermuda all day long. It doesn't wear out quite easily. And if it does wear out, it does repair itself quite quickly. So this makes Bermuda grass quite ideal for things like golf courses, cricket fields, as well as your home lawns where you would like to go out and play on your lawn. Bermuda provides a very good solution as it relates to your home lawn where you want to play in your lawn. Now, in terms of maintenance of Bermuda grass, now, as is the case with all grass types, when it comes to maintenance, the three most important considerations are watering, fertilizing, and mowing. Now, in terms of watering, it's always best to water deeply and infrequently. Bermuda is used to, or it does best when it gets between 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per week. Now it's best to apply this maybe twice at half of an inch each time than to give it the full 1 inch or 1.5 inches in one go, because as the water goes on the lawn, it needs time to soak down into the soil. And as it soaks down into the soil, the roots will grow to meet the water and nutrients as necessary. So that helps the roots to be well established, which results in the grass being more healthy as well as more drought tolerant. Now, the amount of water the grass takes will depend to some degree on the weather as well as on the type of soil. So, for example, if the soil is sandy, then quite naturally it will require more water than if the soil is clay. Now, it's best to water early in the morning as opposed to late in the day, because if you water while the sun is hot, then most of that water is just evaporated. Whereas when you water early in the morning, it gets time to penetrate the soil before the sun comes out. So when the sun comes out, it makes photosynthesis so much easier and so much more effective. Now, you can also water late evenings. However, studies have shown that by watering your lawn in the late evenings, you could cause fungus and diseases to come into play. Now, I personally water all my lawns late evenings because that's the only time I have to do it. And thankfully, I have not suffered any disease or fungus in the time that I've been doing it. So, fingers crossed, I will never have that to deal with as I maintain my lawns. Now, in terms of fertilizers, your fertilizer is normally described by the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that it has. So this is normally referred to as the NPK ratio. Right, so you might see a fertilizer marking 1248. It basically means it has 12% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, and 8% potassium. Or it could be said to have an NPK ratio of 314. Now, there are also fertilizers that might not be full NPK. So these, for example, might just be nitrogen or irons or stuff like that. But generally, on the bag, it will tell what the contents or the main ingredients are within the fertilizer. Now, I give my lawns granular fertilizers, which I apply typically between 6 to 8 weeks. And as it relates to liquid fertilizers, which I do apply as well, I normally use the 20-20-20, which means it has 20 part nitrogen, 20 part phosphorus, and 20 part potassium. And this is normally applied using my ozone sprayer. This gives very quick results because it's liquid, so the fertilizer gets down to the plant almost immediately, and then the plant begins to respond quite easily and quite quickly. Now, it's important, some of these fertilizers, when they're applied, it's important that the lawn be watered immediately. Otherwise, you run the risk of the fertilizer burning the lawn, and that is something you don't want at all. Now, there may be times when you are giving your lawn fertilizers, but the lawn is just not responding as you would like. Now, that might warrant a soil test. So, by testing the soil, you will get an idea of what nutrients are lacking within the soil, and then you would get the necessary fertilizer to help and balance out the nutrients required for the grass. Now, when it comes to mowing the Bermuda lawn, now Bermuda grass can be mowed from as low as maybe 0.3 inches all the way up to 2.5 inches or even taller. However, from my experience, Bermuda grass likes to be cut low. It just looks more beautiful when it's cut low. The drawback to that is The lower you cut the grass, then the more frequently you will need to cut the grass. Also, if the grass is cut any lower than 1.5 inches, I think it's best to use a reel mower. The grass just looks better when cut low using a reel mower, as the reel mower gives that scissors like cut that just makes the grass look beautiful. I cut my grasses at 1 inch tall, and I try to maintain it at 1 inch all year round. For me to be able to cut and maintain 1 inch, I would normally cut my lawn twice per week. Now, as a general rule of thumb, the grass, not just Bermuda, but for all grass types, it's best not to cut the grass, not to take off more than 1/3 the height of the grass. Because when it comes to Bermuda in particular, just maybe the top third of the grass is actually green. Everything below that is brown. So if the grass is cut below that 1/3 height, the grass tends to look brown. And that's not what you want. We all want to have green lawns. So in certain seasons, like when the days are long, because Bermuda likes the longer days when the sun is out for longer periods, the grass does tend to grow even faster, and it might sometimes require you to cut 3 times per week if you are to maintain that 1 inch height of cut. Now, when it comes to maintenance of both Bermuda and Zoysia grass, apart from just watering, fertilizing, and mowing, there are also other practices that are necessary. However, most of them are not done by the typical DIYer because they do require machinery which are quite expensive and sometimes difficult to come by. So I personally, I scarify my lawn, I verticut my lawn, I dethatch my lawn. I also would like to aerate my lawn. However, I do not have the equipment and I have not seen one that I can afford thus far. So at the moment, I currently do not aerate my lawn, but I hope to do that in the future. Now, from time to time, you will see me doing these different maintenance practices. So you will get clearer ideas as to what I'm talking about whenever I'm doing those videos. So from time to time, I'll be doing videos on me scarifying, verticutting, and dethatching my lawns. So you will see that from time to time. Oh, this lawn that I'm sitting in is Zoysia grass. So as I said, Zoysia looks quite similar to Bermuda. However, there are a few differences, and there are a few ways you can tell the difference between the two. As it relates to the growth habit of Zoysia, Zoysia is a very slow growing turf grass. It has a carpet-like finish when it's fully established. So unlike the Bermuda that has a mat-like finish, this has a carpet-like finish. It's very slow to establish. It's also very slow to recover from damage. It also spreads via stolons and rhizomes. However, it doesn't do it quite as fast as Bermuda does. Now, Zoysia is also very heat tolerant. I wouldn't say it's quite as heat resistant as Bermuda. However, it does do well in heat. Also, as it relates to drought, from my experience, I would say Zoysia is more drought tolerant than Bermuda. So Zoysia can go for longer periods without water than Bermuda. However, I find that Bermuda can handle hotter climates or hotter temperatures without damage once it is being watered. Now, Zoysia, it's moderately good as it relates to foot traffic, not very much resistant to wear as is Bermuda. So one of the great advantages of Zoysia grass over Bermuda grass is the fact that it can tolerate partial shade. It does prefer full sun, however, it can also grow in partial shade. Now, Bermuda will just not grow unless it has full sun. So Zoysia, if you have a yard space where the lawn is going to be subjected to partial shade, then Zoysia is your better option as it relates to the comparison between Zoysia and the Bermuda. Now, in terms of maintenance, the maintenance practices I do for Zoysia are exactly the ones I do for Bermuda. I don't treat my Zoysia any differently from my Bermuda. Now, Zoysia grows a lot more slowly. However, I still mow twice per week. I normally mow my Zoysia and my Bermuda grass on the same day, and I mow them at the same height. I also typically fertilize them at the same time, and I water them at the same time. One thing I do differently, I from time to time had some nitrogen fertilizer between my applications of my regular granite fertilizers because I find that Bermuda grass is more demanding of nutrients. Thus, I would say Bermuda requires more fertilizing, maybe more frequent fertilizing than is the case with Zoysia. Again, watering, same principle applies, water deeply and infrequently. Also, the mowing height that I use for my Zoysia lawn is 1 inch. Now you can go much higher than that. You can go all the way up to 3.5 inches if you so desire. However, you might not find a real mower that will be able to cut the grass that tall. So you would then have to resort to using a rotary mower. Now rotary mowers are good for cutting the grass tall, but I like my grass, my Zoysia and Bermuda grass is cut low. So I use the real mower. In terms of how to identify the grass types, as I said before, the grasses are quite similar in appearance and it's very difficult to tell the difference. However, Zoysia has slightly broader leaves and the leaves are a bit coarser when compared to Bermuda that has slightly smaller leaves and the leaves are a lot smoother when you rub your fingers against them. Another difference is that the Bermuda is lighter green, whereas the Zoysia is a darker green color. Now, those are the only ways I find that I can tell the difference. And even so, it's very difficult. If I should see one without the other, it is still sometimes very difficult for me to tell the difference between the two. So, if you are going to be deciding on whether to plant Zoysia or Bermuda grass, some of the considerations you would want are the frequency with which you intend to maintain the grass, because Bermuda grows a lot faster than Zoysia. It does require a bit more maintenance. So if you think you want to do less maintenance because you don't have time to do a lot of maintenance, then you might be better off going for the Zoysia grass. If you want a grass that is wear resistant and is quick to recover from damage, then the Bermuda grass is the grass for you. Also, as I said, the Bermuda grass does take a bit more fertilizers. So if you want to use minimal fertilizers, then the Zoysia would be the better grass for you. So those are basically the differences and the similarities between zoysia and the Bermuda grass. So the zoysia is slow to recover, whereas the Bermuda is very fast to recover. Zoysia, both zoysia and Bermuda, they are both drought tolerant, but the zoysia is more drought tolerant than the Bermuda. However, the Bermuda can handle higher temperatures than zoysia is able to handle. And both grasses like to be cut at a very low height. As far as I am concerned, I like them looking low. I find that when they're cut low, they do look a lot better. So there you have it, the comparison between the zoysia and the Bermuda grass. Now I hope that after watching this video, you are in a better position as it relates to determining which of the two grass types is best for your application. So as I said, if you want to do less maintenance, then it's best to go for the zoysia grass. If you want a grass that is more wear resistant and is faster to recover from damage and is also faster to establish, then the Bermuda is the grass for you. Both grass are very similar in appearance, so I personally don't have a preference as it relates to the appearance because they look almost identical as far as I am concerned. I love both grass equally, and another advantage of the zoysia grass is the fact that it's able to be grown in partially shaded areas, very lightly shaded areas. If it's fully shaded, then the grass will thin out very much. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you again in future videos.